right, it is January the 1st, 2026. God's help us all. Let's start with uh king of the precious metals market, gold. So actually I'm going to jump ahead across to my little public blog. I'm going to quote myself. So I mean the December gains, we had 2.5% for gold. Silver, of course, was up 26%, which is That's just that's funny. That's just funny to me. That's 26% in a month. In a year, it would be if you had silver up 26% in a year, that would be a good year. To see it in a month is astounding. Like this is when it's really amazing. For the year, I've done the calculations just earlier. Gold was up $1,698.23, which is 64.7%. That's astounding. Now, of course, and it's often the case, I've been saying it for many years, silver is typically a 2 times beta of gold. So you can normally double up. If gold's up 64%, you can normally double it up. And what do we get? Silver was up for the year $42.38, 146.7%. An astounding gain. An incredible year for gold and silver. Yeah, my public blogs. I'm still doing them. I kind of just keep them as almost a legacy feature that I don't want to kind of close. Look at that. I mean, it's not even just this year. I mean, look at even 2023 could see the first big push, and then 24 was strong. 25 was stronger. Now you got to ask the question. Well, what's 26? I mean, I'm the first to one to note. Say, hey, look, the December candle's pretty spiky, which does threaten short-term cooling. But you can see in October, that candle was spiky and we had a teeny bit of cooling, but then it pushed up to a new historic high. So, and you could have, what we could have, and this is one scenario, it's a prime scenario really. We could have 2, 3, 4 months of sideways chop, just like this, and then off we go again. So we could just churn around 4,200, maybe even come down to 4,000. And by February, March, 4K, and then off we go again to 5K. We know 5K is going to be printed this year, right? 5K is an easy target. I'm just wondering whether we're going to get to 7K, maybe even 8. 8 isn't $8,000 gold. Isn't that crazy? Again, I refer you to the fact that this year gold was up 64.7% and silver was up 146. Incredible. So, I think we're gonna have we're due. It just feels like we're due a couple of weeks, maybe a few months of kind of consolidation before we off we go again. And again, on any basis, monthly RSI 92 is crazy overboard. That is not sustainable. Jumping across to silver, stock charts has finally figured out that we did have a high some days ago. New historic high 83.62. Of course, we did plummet back and we settled the year at 71.26. RSI is 89, which is actually a little bit lower than gold. So that's kind of interesting. And again, it's a pretty spiky candle, which we could easily have a little bit of consolidation. I wouldn't be surprised if we cooled back to $60, frankly. That would seem very realistic within January or February. But then of course, we know, and we do know, right? We do know silver's got to go to $100 and beyond. This is just remember October was the breakout, so this is the breakout month here. This is month number 2. This is month number 3 of the breakout. We know where this is going in the long term. It's no question about it. So a hell of a month for gold and silver. I do lean short term bearish, but again, you'd have to be an insane maniac to try and short either on the premise that it might go down because clearly the mid and long term is up, up, and up. What next? I guess I should jump to the gold miners ETF of GDX. I will actually jump to my own other blog. So yeah, for December, GDX was up 3.8%. New historic high. But here we go. Look at this. For the year, GDX was up $52.10. It was up $52, 154.8%. That's even better than silver's gain. I'm actually surprised about that. It's like considering silver's normally more wild than the miners themselves, but 154.8%. That's an incredible thing. I mean, our monthly RSI is 82. Clearly, we're overbought. The December candles are, it's pretty spiky on the upper end. And again, I wouldn't be surprised if we had a month or two of kind of choppy cooling or consolidation. We could come down to 75 or so, and that wouldn't do anything to the trend, right? Look at this. First support is the 10 MA 62s. We can come down to around 75 to 70 without doing any technical damage at all. Got to be bullish to miners. Again, if you believe in the premise that silver's going to be north of 100 and gold's going to be 5K or considerably higher, you know where GDX is going, right? We're going way north of 100, 125, 150. Oh, look at this. Nobody cared about GDX when it was $20 or 15 at the March lows in 2020. Nobody cared. I mean, basically, years and years of broad chop. Not great, right? But, there we go. There's the breakout. In fact, the breakout was what? That's October, September, August. Yeah, August. August of this year was the breakout of last year, I should say. August was the breakout candle, and off we go. So, short term vulnerable, but the only thing I would say is that volume has been pretty subdued, apart from October, which of course, you know, I mean, it's just there's nothing. I mean, of course, the price is higher, but still, you know, that was a clearly capitulation low in 2020. And again, keep in mind that because the price is high, people are just buying less stock. Doesn't mean they're not bullish, but there's issues there between price and volume. Anyway, what next? Yeah, I do want to go through each of the miners on the monthly chart. So let's jump to them. There we are. So yeah, these are the monthly charts. So we're just gonna quickly note the December settlements. So yeah, um, Agnico was actually net lower for the month, but again, it's one of those stocks. It is I call it is the sector leader. It has been for a few years. You can argue it's just consolidating. I mean, it does look short-term vulnerable. And yeah, look, RSI is 81. It's cool, cooling back a bit. Again, midterm bullish. First Majestic Silver had a good December, up 9.4% to 1666. Again, keep in mind, um, it was 23 in February of 21. So, silver's way past uh where it was there. It's still lagging. And I would argue it's if you believe that silver's going to be sustainably above 100 at some point, then First Majestic is an obvious target. It's a good company. Anglo Gold Ashanti. So new strike high, but it's another one of the miners that actually did settle net lower for the month. Um, November's candle was bullish engulfing, so that did play out. But yeah, we're prone to cooling back a little bit more. Barrick Mining, new historic high, net gain of 5.3%. Again, the candle's a little bit spiky, leans to a bit of cooling. Coal mining, 3.2% on the month. Again, notably that it's still way below the October high. And you can argue it's just consolidating. You could even argue that structure is building a big bull flag. A natural target would be around 34, 35. I think that's coming later this year. Maybe not until late summer, but it's in the scheme of things. It does seem that 34, 35 is on the way. DRD gold, near strike high up 2.7%. Again, the December candle's a bit spiky. It's prone to cooling. Endeavor silver, another one that was down 5.3% decline. Again, arguably just consolidating. Nothing goes up in a straight line, right? Rarely, anyway. Frank in Nevada, the royalty miner, again, another one that was down for the month, down 1%. Goldfields, up 1.8%. Goldfields did print a new historic high this month. Note that the fact we have two candles of the last three that are spiky. This is rather bearish. Again, short term, just maybe it'll come back to $40 or so, and but you know, again, it can't just keep going up month after month. It's gonna have to chop sideways occasionally. Little Heckler, great month for Heckler, up 14.1%, new historic high in the 21s. Again, the candle's a little bit spiky, prone to cooling. Again, it does seem quite clear we'll never see Heckler in the fours or the threes again. Unless you believe in some kind of deflationary depression, which doesn't seem likely. The only solution to the mountain of debt is to inflate it away. Therefore, higher asset prices is is what's going to happen. What's happening now, as reflected in gold and silver. Harmony, 1.2%. Again, the December and October candles are pretty spiky. It's leaning to consolidation. Here's a good bull flag there, right? It was down for what's that? 4 months? Three. 1, 2, 3. I think. Yeah, 3 months or so, and then resuming upwards. So we could maybe look for a little bit of moderate cooling. Ross gold. Look at that. New historic high. Net gain of 5 cents. This is a black doji. It's a long-legged doji, and that does bode distinctly bearish for January. Again, maybe we'll only come back to for Teneme, which is currently 19s, but that'll be soon 2021. So we can go back 20, 25% without any trouble, and that would just be like a cooling wave. Look at this. Back in 22, this was $2. Two. It's up it did take 3 years to go up 1,000%, but you know, good company. Newmont, arguably the best miner in the world. Net gain of 10%. New historic high of 106s. Settled at 99 again. Candle's a little bit spiky. Prone to cooling back, but not much. And it won't be long anyway. I think this is a $200 stock in the longer term. If commodity gold is 7K, this is $200, which is wild considering the fact it was $28 just 2 years ago. 28 to 99. Give it another year and a half, 200. Pan American Silver, arguably the best silver miner in the world, had a net gain of 13.4%. New historic high 55s. Candles a little bit spiky. We're clearly overbought. 78 RSI. And but look, you got to be midterm bullish unless we're back under the 10 MA, which is 33. We can call back to what 45 without any trouble. again, if you believe silver is going to be sustainably above 100, Pan American will also probably be close to 100. So there's a long-term trade there for that one. Royal Gold hardly anybody cares, but new strike high. SSR mining, not a fan. I mean, look at this though. What is this? This is a bull flag, right? And you could get another, probably maybe get another 1 or 2 months across, and off we go again. I'm not a fan of the company. There's better miners out there though, but that is a bull flag. And finally, Wheaton Precious Metals, near strike high, net monthly gain 6.8%. Again, candle's a little bit spiky, but you know, and you got to ask yourself a question. Well, if silver's above 150, what's this going to be? I mean, the interesting thing is it's 117 with silver around 70. So if silver's above 150, what's this? 200? And one other thing I wanted to go through was the net yearly gains for the miners. I might even do the lithium and copper miners as well. Let's just go through these little ones. So it's just two to go. I mean, these are incredible. I'm gonna actually I can't zoom in any further. Let's have a look. What have we got? So the leader is Anglo Gold Ashanti, ticker AU, which was up 288% on a year. I'm not even gonna round off it's like 288%. I mean, that's incredible. The next one, Barrick Mining, up 186%. It almost tripled. Then we have Newmont, up 172%. Again, my two favorite miners have always been Newmont and Barrick, and the two largest components of GDX are Newmont and Barrick Gold. Next one is Agnico Eagle, up 119%. Again, that's an amazing gain for a year. Wheaton Precious Metals up 110%. And the laggard, Franco-Nevada, the royalty miner, was up 77%. But again, all massively powerful gains. And the second list of miners is here. What's this one? The purple one. Heckler. Oh yeah, little Heckler. Heckler mining up 291%. That's almost up by a factor of 4. Incredible. The red one is core mining up 211%. We have Kinross up 206. We have First Majestic Silver up 204. I mean, these are superb gains for the silver miners. We have EXK up 156% with Pan American Silver, the best of the silver miners in my view, up 160%. I mean, you can argue all day, oh, I wish I bought this one or that one. It's like, look, they're all up monstrously. I mean, then the real question is, well, okay, these gains are with silver, $70, $80. So again, if you believe that silver's got to be 125 or 150 sustainably, not just like briefly, but sustainably higher silver prices, then you could ask yourself, well, where are these going, right? Again, it's a good example, this chart alone, just showing that nothing goes up in a straight line. There's, all of this is semi-random chaos with little bursts upwards and then consolidation. Sporadic pullbacks. Like we had one in October when gold and silver cooled off, but then then they soon powered back up, and again we can see even in the last week or so, some of the miners are just cooling off, and that's okay. That's just that's just the nature of semi-random chaos, right? It's just sporadic cooling waves. Gotta expect them. What else? Anything else to highlight? I guess I could look at the other little. I wasn't intending to, but the other miners list that I keep track of Oh, there's a few mixture. There's a real mixture here. I mean, look at this one. What's the purple one? Oh God. Lithium Americas. Problem with Lithium Americas, they're not mining any lithium, and they're not actually going to be looking to mine any lithium until early 2027. So, this mining stock is a almost an anomaly. I can't take it seriously yet. But if you go through some of the others, Freeport McMoran, top tier copper miner, up 34% on the year. That's a very respectable. People think it's a boring company, but no, it's not. It had a great year. We have Southern Copper, which was up 65%. Then we have a couple of uranium miners. Uranium Energy up 74%. Cameco up 78%. They do trend pretty closely together. And then we have another lithium miner, Albemarle, up 67%. So, a lot of these miners have cooled off since October, especially lithium, and they're sustainably cooling off. So again, it's quite clear, the best miners this year were the silver miners, then the gold miners, then the uranium miners, and then the copper miners, and arguably the lithium miners. Yeah, I guess the lithium miners were kind of similar to uranium, but it's always been the case that the real action is in the silver miners. Maybe one final chart. I mean, this is one of my favorite charts, year-to-date price action. So for the year, silver was up 146%, gold was up 64%. An incredible year. Even if you dismiss all of this, silver was still up a solid 80% until early December. I mean, you could argue this is just like a little short-term blow off top, and we might come back 10, 20%. That would just be a retrace. Copper's up 41%, S&P up 16%. Very respectable performance for the year for equities. Bonds via TLT up 4.25%, and oil down almost 20%. Which, of course, again, these copper and silver miners I've been highlighting, for any of the miners, a huge component of their cost is fuel. The most they have. It's been a hell of a year for them all because they have high commodity prices, but their fuel prices are actually down. It's extremely unusual. But yeah, copper. I mean, the cheap oil is a massive, massively bullish for the broader economy. The only thing it's not bullish for is the energy stocks. But hey, I'm not going to lose any sleep over Exxon or Chevron having slightly reduced profits. What's the one chart I should end with? I keep saying end with. I end up finding another chart. Um, hmm. I did put it in a post, but yeah, the gold silver ratio is at 60. I said it a few weeks ago, actually. The target would be 32. Not in this wave. I think we could have a little, gold could perform a little bit better than silver for a little bit. The natural target is 32. Last seen in 2011. That was back when gold was 1900 and silver was 49. But 32 would be a natural target. You should ask the question, well, what does that mean? Does it mean gold is down? Of course not. It's just a ratio. So you got to be careful with ratio charts. People think, oh, well, this means this is bearish gold. It's like, no, it just means that gold is underperforming silver. It is notable that the RSI is well, it's technically oversold, if such a thing can be said for a ratio. But the last time we were oversold, one was when gold and silver were maxing out 2011, and then also in early 1998. Interesting. I'm almost surprised it wasn't like in early 2000, where you did have a slightly divergent higher low in 99. Again, ratios, got to be careful with interpretation of them. Um, but still, when the ratio was 100 some months ago, it was like, yep, this is crazy. Silver's got to outperform, and it certainly has. All right, I guess I should end there before I drone on for way too long. So tomorrow will be the first trading day of the year. I wouldn't expect much. It's Friday post holiday, ahead of the weekend. Things will start to get to normal next Monday, January the 5th. And before you know it, earnings season will start the following week. On that note, I wish you a good Friday and a good year's trading. It's gonna be wild. We gotta expect some swings. We should expect a lot of entertainment. It is the most entertaining place, right? Yeah. Have a good 2026.